Today I want to walk you through the steps that I take to create a new Pinterest account for my blogs. Since Bloggers on the Rise does not have a Pinterest account, this is the perfect opportunity to show you the steps that I take to get everything set up for a brand new Pinterest account. Since this is going to be a Pinterest account for your blog and not your personal information, you're going to want to make sure to create a separate account. That's because let's say that you blog about staplers and all the different kinds of staplers. You want to curate the content that's saved in that Pinterest account around the target audience that you're hoping is going to view your Pinterest account. So that person might, for example, really like stationery supplies, so you might have 20 different boards about all kinds of different stationery supplies, but what you wouldn't want is, for example, posts about cloth diapering or retro vintage clothing, for example, because that's not targeting the audience for your specific blog, whatever that niche is. And even if you do have a personal account, it is always good to have a business account just so that everything on the business account is on brand, and you can also, if you ever do decide to sell your blog, you can send the Pinterest account with the blog as an asset. So you'll be selling the blog with the Pinterest account included, which will add value. So the first thing that you want to do is go to pinterest.com/business/create. Now the post for this article will have the URL. Of course, I don't control Pinterest, so they could change it at any time. You want to enter in your email address, and the best thing to do here is to enter the email address for the domain that you're blogging on. So for example, this is Bloggers on the Rise. You want to make sure to use my blog email address. In this case, it's april@bloggersontherise.com. Be sure to set a secure password, which I'll have LastPass do for me now. I'm going to go ahead and enter that and click Create Account. And I'll make sure that LastPass saves that for me. So you'll want to go ahead and select through the next screens exactly what your business is about. So I'll do that now. And you don't have to connect these accounts, which I'm not going to do now. I'll go back later and connect YouTube, and I'm not going to have an Etsy or an Instagram for this account, so I won't ever need those. So as far as what you select here, I always select yes, but you could also just select I'm not sure yet. The reality is, as your blog grows, you may want to experiment with ads. And Pinterest is like any other business. They want your money, right? So even if you click no, you're going to be still able to do it later. So don't worry too much about that other screen. I already have the Pinterest button. See, it's right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click skip. Okay. So I don't have a pin created for Bloggers on the Rise, so I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. So I'm just going to go to build my profile. And this is where you're going to want to put in information pertinent to your blog. The first thing that I usually do is set up my username to reflect my blog. So whatever my URL is, like in this case it's bloggersontherise.com, I'll go ahead and try and get that username. I haven't had the case where it hasn't been available, but if it's not available, then you may need to get creative as far as what you use. Then you'll want to go through and be sure to fill out all of the information in this profile as much as you can. This information typically isn't visible in searches like your address and that kind of thing, but the About You is. So you want to make sure that if somebody looked at your profile, that it made sense to your target audience. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that out now. After you filled out your profile, you're going to want to go through and just update everything and make sure it makes sense to what your particular options are. click done whenever you finish a section. The claiming the website part might sound confusing, but it's really not. So what you'll want to do is go to claim, and the easiest way for most bloggers is to add an HTML tag into the header section. So I'm going to pick that and then go next. And I want to go do this first, so let's do that now. Once you're logged in, you're going to want to find where in your blog you can add code to the header. So sometimes that's going to be in settings. For example, this theme, Acabado, has a setting for adding stuff to the header and the footer. The only thing is this adds it inside of a script tag, which I don't want. So I'm actually going to use a plugin that I have called Ad Inserter, which is what I use to put in my disclaimers at the top of my blogs, my affiliate disclaimers. So with Ad Inserter in the Settings tab, you can go to Header, and then you can go and paste. And then you want to be sure to click Save. And now we'll want to make sure that this key is on the blog, because this is what Pinterest is going to be looking for. So let me refresh here. I'm going to right click and go to Inspect. Control F for find, and Control V for that tag. And there it is. So the meta is in my header. You can see here's the close head tag. So it's right above that, which is perfect. If you don't have this view, it's under Elements. I use Chrome to check for this, so I'm not sure where it's located in other browsers. But that just ensures that when Pinterest goes to verify the account, they'll be able to see that. So then I'll go ahead and click Submit. So that finishes that process, and now what we'll need to do is go set up some boards. So I'm going to go to my profile. And when you first come into your profile, it's going to be completely blank. That's normal because it's new. You're going to want to go to Boards, and then you're going to want to create a board. And what I like to do for a brand new Pinterest account is I like to create 10 boards that are relevant to my niche. So 10 boards that I know that people that are on my website are going to like. So for example, for this blog, I know that one of my most popular posts is my blog income report. And then Pinterest is going to give you some suggestions based on what the title you choose is. And you're going to want to go ahead and choose anything from these suggestions that makes sense for that board. So I like to choose at least 10. And I would say to start off, you want to choose 10 to 20. What this is doing is it's confirming for Pinterest that yes, this is what this blog is about. So go ahead and click Save on these. Now this one I actually don't want because I'm not, oh, it is an income, blog income. Okay, so I thought that was going to be like a work at home post, but it does say blog income report. So there's 8. And you want to make sure, depending on how specific your niche is, you want to make sure that these are good looking pins too. Sometimes depending on if you have an obscure blog or an obscure niche, there may not be a lot of pins existing on Pinterest, so it may not be, there may not be a lot of pretty pins. So just try to choose the ones that really best fit your blog and are the best looking out of the ones that they have there. So now we have this blog, this board populated. The very next thing you want to do, and you want to do this for every single board you create, is come in here and click on the Edit button. And you want to type in a description. This is going to give Pinterest more information about what this particular board is about. So I'll go ahead and add a description now. Now, one of the things I like to do when I'm writing my description is go to Pinterest in another tab. The first thing it's going to want you to do when you do that is pick topics for your home feed. If there are topics that fit the niche that you're blogging about, go ahead and pick those. If there aren't, just pick, I think it's going to want 5. So we'll try and find some that kind of fit, but there's not a lot of business ones that pop up initially. So I'll do that one. I'll do this, drawing tips, kittens, and parenting. See if there's anything else that possibly fits or not. So I'll click done. Okay, so now what I want to do is come up here and go blog income reports. And I want to look at these are alternate keywords or other terms that Pinterest is suggesting that you could utilize to narrow down your search. So I do want to include first month. So there we go. So I wanted to include the word first month, so I did blog income reports from around the web for inspiration during my blogging journey. The first month of a new blog can be hard. This board shows what can be accomplished with hard work and perseverance. Now I want to choose a category, and let's see. Just going to choose other, and I'm not going to set a cover or anything like that now. So I'll just click save, and that's done. Now I'll go back to my profile, and now under boards I have my first board. So I'm going to go ahead and create 9 other boards and populate them the same way. The 11th board that I create, I want to be a board just for my blog. So this is going to be a home for all of my pins, so I'm not going to save all of my own pins. Nobody else's pins, just my pins. So I'm not going to save anybody else's pins to it. I'm going to come in here and write a description. And then I'll choose other and save. So I'll go ahead and set up the other 9 boards, and then I'll come back in just a moment to show you what that looks like once it's all done. So once your 10 boards have been created, it's going to look something like this. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, plus my board for my blog. So I'm actually going to click and hold to pick this up and move it to the top. And I'm going to go ahead and click Lose Previous Customization. Oops, we want it one more over. And this is going to make sure that if somebody comes and actually views my profile, they're going to see my blog post first, and then they're going to see everything else. So the initial 10 boards is something just to get you started. What I'll do now is use Tailwind to populate these boards, and eventually I want to end up with 30 to 50 pins from other bloggers on each of these boards to help Pinterest know exactly what these boards are about. In addition to that, I'll start scheduling my own pins to these boards. The other pins will tell Pinterest what the pins are about, so when I schedule my own pins, Pinterest already kind of has an idea and can utilize that information to possibly show it to others that are looking for that new information. So a couple other things that I would do from this point is I would go ahead and set up my profile picture, and then Pinterest has also sent me an email to confirm my email address, so I'll want to do that. Like I said, this is just the first day of getting a new new Pinterest account set up for a blog. The other thing to keep in mind is that you don't have to set up all 10 boards at once. I try to do it in one sitting, but you could definitely break it out into 2 or 3 sittings. And I'm not going to stop at just 10 boards. Eventually, I'm going to want to have 20 to 30 boards at a minimum, because for each of the main topics that I blog about, I want to make sure that every post I write has at least 5 or 6 boards at a minimum that I can pin a pin to for that particular topic. So if I post a blog income report, for example, I can post it to Blog Income Reports, Bloggers on the Rise, How to Make Money Blogging, Blog Tips maybe, and I'll probably have to create one other one that would be a good option for those income reports. The big thing is that at a minimum you want 5 to 10 boards that each pin can be pinned to that's relevant to your topic. When you go into each board, you should make sure that each board has a unique description, and this description is going to give Pinterest a better idea of what the board is about, as well as what you pin to it. So Pinterest will start to learn what your boards are about based on the types of pins you pin. So as the board grows in age, theoretically, Pinterest learns more and more about your board. Once Pinterest is confident in what your board is about, it'll start showing it more and more to pins from that board, more and more to people that are searching for the terms you're targeting. Of course, all of this is a guess, right? Because we don't know exactly what Pinterest is looking for. Pinterest doesn't tell us what their algorithm is looking for. So this is just my strategy to optimize my new Pinterest accounts to result in blogger traffic. So today is February 19th at 10 o'clock. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and keep a tally on the bloggersontherise.com as far as how this Pinterest account is growing, so that you guys can kind of see. The very next step that I'm going to take for me personally is to get this account set up with Tailwind. Because I manage multiple blogs, I don't have time to post manually or pin manually to Pinterest. And then the next step after that is to go ahead and create pins for all of my existing blog posts. So there is definitely labor involved in creating pins for Pinterest and managing Pinterest and that kind of thing. But this is how I get started, how I set up my account. And then from here on out, I can either pin manually or I can use schedulers. Be sure to check out the website bloggersontherise.com for information on the tools and resources I use to help me manage my Pinterest account, as well as for an awesome affiliate link for a Pinterest course that I highly recommend. Thanks so much for watching.